Hi, and welcome to the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit. My name is Deb Johnstone, and like you, I'm in the second half of life. I've been through two midlife transitions now. I know how it feels to go through it, and I know how it feels to come out the other side with that really strong sense of self and thriving. And that's why I've gathered together this incredible panel of women. And together, we're going to show you how to rediscover you, find new direction, and thrive in your next chapter. Today, I am so excited to introduce Christine Hart-Savage as our speaker. During her 30-year career as a breathworker and higher purpose life coach, Christine has mentored many thousands of people through their personal challenges, anxiety, overwhelm, and spiritual crisis. After her own devastating breakdown over 30 years ago, where she found herself emotionally crippled, mentally exhausted, and spiritually lost, she made a choice to raise herself out of chaos and drama, and she became committed to creating a better life for herself and her children. Today, with all her varied experience, Christine offers online courses and coaching internationally, teaching the skills and practices she used to heal herself to those searching for a deeper meaning and a more fulfilling and successful life. Christine, welcome. I'm really excited that you're here with us today.
Thanks, Deb. It's lovely to be here. It's a great topic. I love the topic.
It is a great topic. And we've known each other for quite a few years now, haven't we? We've been friends for a while. And I've always had an idea of what you do, and I've always wanted to invite you onto a summit. So I'm really excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here, and it's great chatting with you like this. It's, and there's so many people out there that are going through change, I think particularly at the moment. So it is a wonderful topic. I mean, I think we're always going through change, but sometimes it is big change.
Big change, yeah. And midlife isn't the only time that we go through big changes like that. There are lots of other transitional points too. It always seems to be, I don't know, feels so much bigger to most women when we go through the changes at this phase of life.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it does. It does. I know we're going to talk about some fascinating topics to help women transition through this phase. I'd love it if you'd share with our audience your transitional story, because it's very inspiring, and I believe it creates hope. It creates hope for other women that they can change, they can actually feel empowered. So I'd love you to share your story.
Well, couple of things there. It is what you just said, I think, gives people hope. I think is vital. Just took me to a lady that rang me many years ago who her brother had actually suicided, and she was feeling like she was going the same way. And she was just in incredible breakdown with stress, and pain body, was up like crazy. And she was very desperate. And she said, "Can you help me?" after telling the story. And I said, "Yes, I can." And she said later, after we'd finished working, that those first words gave her such hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need, that we can actually move forward, and we can, as we know. And a lot of our viewers will know that too. So my story, I have quite a few stories, Deb.
I know you do.
I've transitioned quite a few times in my life. Oh boy, have I made some mistakes particularly my earlier life. It was incredible. But those mistakes ended up being quite okay, because that breakdown that I went through took me into this wonderful breakthrough. The breakdown took me into a breakthrough. So the first one I had was in my mid-30s. And that was a marriage that was really unhealthy. I'll just put it that way. And I had two young children too. So I went through this incredible breakdown because I kept trying and trying and trying harder and harder and harder to be the best possible version of myself. But really what I was doing was giving myself away. So overgiving constantly. And of course, that never, ever works, never works. So in the end, I just became very, very ill and I had to surrender. I had no choice. And that marriage broke up and a whole lot of incidents happened, and with my children as well. And one of them went through the drug path for a long time, many years. And the other one was diagnosed with MS and a brain tumor that kept hemorrhaging, and he started having seizures. So I was a single mum going through all of this incredible stress and anxiety. I used to have terrible panic attacks as well. And I had no skills, absolutely no skills. I didn't know what to do, where to turn. My burnout was incredible. My pain body was very strong, which I'd like to discuss, during this session. And I took about 12 months to heal, I suppose. And I started meditating because I knew that either I start to meditate or I medicate. So I either end up in hospital for a while or I start meditating. And I thought, I need to change something from the inside of me. And I knew that. I knew I had to change from the inside. So I started to meditate. And boy, oh boy, that made a huge difference. So I'm coming up to 30 years of meditation on the 3rd of September this year.
Wow, that is it. That is a huge achievement. And I know, for me, I meditate and I do it for quite a long time, and then I don't do it, but I'll practice yoga, and then I start again. But after having a recent conversation with you, when we first decided to do this interview, and I thought, you know what, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, it needs to be every day. Yeah, it needs to be every day.
It sets up your day. It's like you become aligned spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and in your behaviors.
Yeah.
So anyone who does this daily practice will find in a very short time that they start to become aligned and the day goes better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even for that, that simple reason.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
But people sit down at first and they say they try to meditate and their mind's going everywhere like a bucking bronco. And I say, good for you, because that's how it will be to start with. That's normal. It's really normal to have this busy mind. But back to the transition question.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm going through another big, big life transition. And the thing that I have noticed after going through about 6 weeks of shock, like real shock, I suppose the first 2 weeks, I felt like I was underwater and I was just really in that stunned shock state. So I sort of cancelled everything and I was just with that, just because I recognized I'm in shock. So I just really sat with that shock, and I was really pleased that I had the skills to do what I needed to do. But I transitioned through that shock and into, okay, this has happened, an acceptance, and then a recreation of looking at what I want to do with my life from here on. And this whole thing about recreating midlife, even though I'm probably quite a little bit, just a touch past midlife. And as you said, it can happen at any age, really. It's a recreation of life.
It is, yeah, yeah.
And the thing that I've noticed is how incredibly still and harmonious I am inside these days. So back when I went through that first breakdown, my mind and my emotional state and my physical body just screamed and ached. And I was really caught up in it all. This time, my mind is still. It's not busy. My emotions are harmonized and my body is good. So I don't have the same fear inside me anymore.
That's amazing. And you're right in the middle of the transition too.
Yeah, I'm still in the middle of it. So normally with a transition, you would wait to share it and when it's finished and you've got yourself right together and you're on your path for the new life. But I can share this now because I do feel really safe. I didn't feel safe before. I feel safe. I don't know quite how it looks, but I'm creating. I've got my, I'm planning in my mind. I keep my emotional state really calm through breathing, through meditation, through the other skills of working with the mind that I've learned over my journey. So I'm really being very steady with it. Now, we all have the ability to do this. These are tools that we can learn. And I think through the practice of those tools and the daily meditation and the working with the mind, working with the emotions, being very good with your breathing, that is probably the primary thing. You can then practice daily until it becomes a skill, and then we start to move forward.
And you know what? This is the thing that many of us don't get with meditation. We don't get it, is that meditation is a skill. And like any skill, it needs to be practiced regularly until we can master it. So that can take a long time before we can master a skill, can't it?
Oh, yes, it can.
Yeah.
And the great thing is every single time you do a practice, and that's what it is. As you said, it's a practice. Every day it's a practice. Even after 30 years, you're still learning and expanding. And I never think we're there. I think there's always so much more to understand and expand into.
Yeah, it's like always another layer up, another layer up, another layer up. There's always more. But when we're first starting, we can't actually see how far we can go with it because we're still in those initial stages. And if we do, like I was doing for quite some time, is like doing it for a little while and then stopping, and doing it for a little while and then stopping, we don't actually get that opportunity to see what's possible, to see the expansion that's possible, to feel that calmness in the space of chaos, which is what you're feeling right now. There's a lot going on. You have no idea what's going to happen, and yet you're calm and you're grounded. Yeah.
And what you're saying there about starting and stopping and starting and stopping is so true. What happens then is we tend to go sideways because the mind will kick in and it gets caught up in things and it takes us sideways, where what we actually want through daily practice and doing a meditation that is the same, where the mind becomes bored, we start to cycle downward and we go deeper and deeper rather than sideways.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So,
and it's in that depth, as we're releasing old charged emotional patterns inside us, what happens is that energy then unravels and transforms so that we've got more life force or more pure life energy to move forward with. It's like all these knots or crystallized parts of us from the past that makes up our pain body.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was going to ask you about next, the pain body. Yeah,
the pain body. So the pain body is a fairly recent term that's going around, but another word that I've always used for it is patterns. So they're blockages inside us. So whether we call it a pain body or a blockage, so it doesn't matter what age we've been, but these do start when we're very young, even pre-birth. If our mother has gone through a lot of trauma while we've been in utero, then that comes through to us, her emotional state, her thought patterns. We can hear what is going on in the environment around us and experience it even whilst we are in utero. So all of those things have an impact on us. We're being conditioned by them, unconsciously conditioned.
It's interesting, isn't it? I totally get what you're saying. I've actually had clients go back to the in utero period of their lives and being totally aware of what their mother was feeling.
Yes, exactly.
Totally aware, and how that was impacting them inside the uterus, coming through with "I'm not wanted," or it's quite incredible.
Or incredible decisions around being responsible for the mother.
Yes.
Where overgive your whole life to your mother, and you put yourself second or last as it may be. So those decisions are made very, very early, you know, well before what we would say a child would be cognitive at a certain age. It goes way back much earlier than that. In breath work, people go way back into different time frames as well. You know, even I don't know whether they don't believe in past lives or not is irrelevant, because sometimes people flip into them anyway. and we never really do that unless there's something to be healed now, currently. And that's the thing to focus on, really. It's about the healing currently.
It's doing what's needed to heal what needs to be healed, rather than just visiting at random for no particular reason at all. There's not much point in doing it. Yeah.
One of the beautiful women that I'm working with at the moment, she is 52 and she has had a problem with addiction. You know, everyone tends to present with anxiety of some sort when they come for sessions or group sessions, and stress or some sort of trauma or chaos in their lives. And this particular woman has a problem with alcohol, and she was going in and out of rehab and in there for, you know, a month, 3 months at a time, coming out, trying so hard and getting, you know, 40 days, you know, sober. Then she would go back in, and it repeated and repeated. And I'm speaking about this one gorgeous woman, but it's many, many people that we're speaking about here. And it may not be alcohol. It could be buying shoes. It could be racking up a debt on a credit card for something. It could be relationships that are abusive. It could be anything that we are addicted to. It could be a way of thinking. So what's important here is, with the pain body, when there's a wound and it makes a gap in us, it's like we dissociate. So a part of our energy goes out of us because we can't cope with it. If you're a young child, we don't have those skills that, you know, emotional skills, mental skills. So we respond or we react in a way that keeps us as safe as possible. So we actually have bits of our energy that are going outside of ourselves, or another way of saying it, that energy is contracting into a ball inside. So it becomes trapped. And within that is that emotional charge, the mental stuff that we were thinking at the time is within it. All sorts of things are caught in that little personality at that age, at that stage of our lives. Now, I want to go back to it being outside of ourselves for a moment. With addiction, we've got a lot of us that's missing, that we've dissociated with, and it's all outside of ourselves. And this becomes empty, like an emptiness inside. We feel empty, and we all know what this feels like, this emptiness inside. So we try to fill it with something, through a new relationship, buying shoes, alcohol, some sort of drug, whatever it might be. So we put a lot of our energy into those things. So if it's, in this case, alcohol, a lot of the life force and focus goes into the alcohol, trying to fill that emptiness gap inside. And every time we do that, more of our life force goes into that addiction. So when someone's doing their best, okay, I'm going to get cleaned up, I'm going to stop spending on the credit card, I'm going to stop buying shoes, that was one of mine, I'm going to stop drinking, and we're doing all the right things and we're mentally strong, and we get to a certain stage, and then suddenly we're sucked back in and we're back in rehab, or we're back buying shoes, or we're back building the credit card again. And we're down on ourselves. You know, I'm not strong enough. People suicide over these things.
Yeah, because willpower really doesn't have a lot to do with it, does it? There's something else going on. Yeah.
Exactly. And so once we understand in the pain body, that wherever we're putting that energy into, like the drug, is going to, it's not just our energy, it's us. It is our life. It is a part of us that we're putting over there. Now, we try and move away from that. It's like our own personal signature. Yeah. It's going to draw us back magnetically, draw us back over and over and over again until we clean it up. So we have to release the charge on that pain body. We have to release all that emotional stuff that we didn't deal with when we were younger because we didn't know how, has to be moved through.
Right.
Now, once it's moved through and it's transformed into pure energy, that comes back inside us. So we become stronger at a soul level, and the addiction becomes weaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these practices, there's deeper practices that we can do to really get that moving faster. But even meditation is vital for helping that along and realigning all parts, like we were saying before, mentally, emotionally, and physically, behaviorally. We get to make new decisions when they present in our lives. There's so much to this, and there is a way out of this. This is the important part. There's hope. There are certain steps we can take if we do the practices where we will move forward, and we can't move forward without doing those deeper practices, because the pain body stays stuck. We go around in circles, get nowhere.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, I guess it's like trying to fix something just by working on the surface of it, but it's really, we got to work on the core of what the problem is, and then there really is no fixing anything, and because there's nothing to fix if we work on the core. It's I really get this, and I notice that this actually comes up a lot in midlife. It comes up a lot in midlife because there are life changes. There are big changes, and this is where the pain body surfaces, isn't it? When we go through big transitions, big changes in life, it's where it generally surfaces more. I know for me, when my period stopped, I burnt out at exactly the same time. That's when I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. So it really showed up my patterns of thinking, the way I used to work. I would just work like a Trojan, like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I would just keep going, because no matter what I did, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So
that overworking, that's an addictive type behavior too. Yeah, I'm very addictive. I get that overworking thing too. It's exhausting. And then when you stop, up comes all of that fatigue.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does. Feeling like, I remember back then feeling more tired than I'd ever felt ever before in my whole life, and I couldn't sleep. That's how a wind up I was.
That's a side effect of that. That's very true. To finish the story with this gorgeous lady who is the alcoholic, healing alcoholic, she's now at 86 days sober.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And she will not go back into rehab now, because she understands why she was, I suppose, going back into drinking. She understands why she was relapsing, because of that energy. Where I think the understanding, doing the practices, but the understanding of how healing looks, how energy works, really aids us into moving forward. So I think with midlife crisis or a midlife change that we go through, these different traumas that can come out of the blue and hit us, and we really need to go within and look at that, because we have this absolutely, it's a gift. It's a wonderful opportunity. If we have things that we haven't dealt with along our lifetime, we get to this midlife period and life will do something and give us an opportunity to clear it, so that we can live this life that we know that we can live, or be of service in the way that we know that we can be of service. And until we're clearing this pain body, making space and room inside ourselves, our true life path often doesn't come through, or the fullness of that true life path doesn't come through, because there's blockages in the way.
And this is the thing, this is what, so many women are searching for in this phase of life. It's like, what's the purpose of my life? What's my life path now? Like, where am I meant to go from here? But, when we're not dealing with what's at the core of why we're feeling the way we're feeling, then it becomes difficult to gain the clarity. Like you said, with your current transition, it's like, because you've got that calmness, you're able, even though there's chaos and you don't know what's going to happen, you're able to think clear enough to plan, and that makes a huge difference.
Yes. Yes, it does. You know, if you look at, okay, you're going through a particular challenge that life has given you, you know, it could be a karmic thing that you need to just balance that karma with something or someone around you so that you can both be free, that person or that situation and you. So we want to balance things as best we can. So if we're going through it, we may as well be doing it calmly than going through it and doing it with absolute anxiety and panic attacks. I've done that one. It's not a good way to do the transition.
That's right. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. And I love that. It is a gift. I mean, Brene Brown calls it an unraveling, doesn't she? And it's an unraveling of all those patterns that we've been running, and
Totally.
yeah, that have been getting in the way, have been getting in the way of us being who we really are, and really, you know, connecting with ourselves and living the kind of life that we want. So it's a great opportunity. It just doesn't feel like that at the time.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. It's the awareness as we go through things and things shift, the awareness that we all gain from that is huge. You know, and you can look back and see, I can understand why I went through that. I can understand my patterns within that needed to be cleared, but we don't see them because we're unconscious. When we're in the pattern, we're unconscious.
Yeah.
When we're clear, we're conscious. Those clouds have been cleared through the constant meditation. And one of the vital things really is breathing, because when we become unconscious or we're caught in a pattern, any sort of chaos, the breathing shuts down immediately. So then we've lost our breathing, we've lost our clarity, we've lost our awareness. We become unconscious. So the breath is a great anchor for us to move forward, as in being present and expanding the now state so that we can start to dissolve those patterns. And we can do that through the breath. So I think one of the greatest things people can do is to learn to breathe correctly. And that really aids meditation anyway.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It helps center. So can you give our audience a couple of steps where they could work with their own breath, even to just bring awareness to the breath, you know?
Absolutely. Awareness to the breath. Because one of the interesting things is that if someone's suffering from anxiety or panic attacks, their breathing will be they'll either be holding their breath a lot or really shallow breathing, very, very short breathing, but they won't be aware that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Just like me, I was not aware that my breathing was terrible.
Yeah.
And most people's breathing is not good, particularly Western people. We're very shallow breathers. So if you can remember, the main thing is to remember to do this, because we're not good at remembering. So remember to even just put your awareness right now on your breathing and just notice it. You know, what is your breathing doing? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Is it labored? Is it free? Because breathing can become very silk-like and very beautiful when you breathe well. You know, are you breathing into your solar plexus, like your diaphragm, which is just under your ribs here? Are you breathing into that area? Are you just breathing into the upper chest? People with anxiety tend to breathe just into the higher chest area all the time. And if we want to have a panic attack, we just need to make that shorter and speak negatively to ourselves and do all that negative stuff and have little breathing. And in the end, we'll be really panicking. You can actually, and I can say that because I used to do it all the time. So I could teach lots of people how to have a panic attack very quickly. So once we understand how we have a panic attack, we can then understand how to become centered, calm, and harmonious. So we deepen the breath. Even just people now just observing the breath, you don't need to change anything, just becoming aware of it. You know, just take that time out. 30 seconds, a minute, and then start to just deepen, just very gently, just starting to deepen the breath, just deepen it. Even that very simple instruction will start to make a difference.
Yeah, it does. It does make a difference. Yeah, absolutely does. And it brings more clarity, doesn't it? More clarity of thinking, more focus.
It does, Deb. And one of the first things it may do initially for people is they may start to experience more of what's inside, which is where the trauma sits and the pain sits. So even just slowing your breath down, you might become more aware of the tension everywhere in your body. You may become aware of, tension in your mind, where you're thinking behind there all the time. You may become aware that your thoughts are just like, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. They're just so busy, but that's okay, because that's there anyway. So it's just, we're bringing awareness to it.
Yeah.
And by deeper practices and daily practices, a lot of that tension and pain will start to disperse. And it's permanent. This is the thing. It's permanent unraveling, if you like. It is permanent. So the next thing bubbles up and we work through that thing. Next thing bubbles up, you work through that thing.
And it is about that, isn't it? It's about working through it as it comes up, not thinking, oh, it's all sorted now, I'm fine. It's because another bubble comes up, because it's part of us connecting with who we really are. So it's
exactly. And the great thing is we've earned the next bubble that comes up.
Yeah.
Because we've cleared something. So the next one comes up, it's like, oh, joy, here's another one. I'm working through them. That's the way to look at it.
I love it. I love that. I love that way of thinking. I love that attitude. I know quite some time ago I said, I think something else came up and I said, aren't I done yet? Like, honestly, something else.
No more, please.
No, that's right.
I think once we understand that we are very loved, I think, by the universe, we are very, very loved by whatever power we want to call that. And it gives us opportunities to become more filled with joy, more filled with purity, more filled with love, and to live a life that is more joyous.
Yeah.
We can learn to surrender to that pain as it comes up, or that tension or that challenge, and we move through it more quickly. It's just that we're so frightened of it at first.
Yeah.
When you understand it, it becomes easier and easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
To work through it.
Just about taking that first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
And breath is a step, and that brings me to your free gift, because you have an amazing free gift to offer our audience, don't you?
Yes, I do. It's your guide to better breathing. So it's 4 steps that people can take every day to help with their breathing. It's simple. I've kept it nice and simple. It's a great way to start, just sitting and doing those 4 steps. And we also look at 2 common mistakes that are made with breathing. So just bringing awareness to those simple things is actually massive, because I think healing is actually quite simple when we break it down. So it's doing the simple things regularly that work.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. That's a really valuable free gift. I think, so many people don't understand or haven't understood the importance of breath and how much it can bring for us and how much it can heal us. So thank you so much for that gift. And you can access Christine's gift on this page that we're watching the interview on now. So just underneath the video, there's a link. Just click on the link there and you can access Christine's free gift. And also in the email that you received today, there's a link in the email as well where you can access it as well. And I encourage you to do that. Breath is, it's, for me, it's what I do every single day. It's so important. I mean, we're breathing all the time, but we're not breathing effectively most of the time. So it's only when we bring a conscious awareness to it that it changes. So thank you so much. That's a brilliant gift.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope it really helps people. So becoming breath aware, I think, is one of the first things we need to do as we're healing. And it just brings joy to our lives. When you become a good breather, you can manage yourself from the inside all the time, no matter what's going on externally. It really is a gift. And You can't leave home without it.
That's true. That's very true. Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Is there any other words that you'd like to leave our audience with before we finish?
Don't give up. It doesn't matter how anxious you might be feeling, how lost, how much you're thinking, I can't do this life, what's wrong with me? How come other people have got their lives together and I haven't? Let me tell you, they haven't got their lives together. We all go through things constantly, and no matter what, there is a way through. There is a way through. So just give yourself a break, surrender, and bring yourself back into this current moment, because in this moment, this very moment, you have everything you need. The only thing that's going on is something up in your mind and your emotional state that is throwing you off that nice, harmonious feeling. So if you can actually just bring yourself very much into present moment as often as you can and put your focus on your breath, that will help you incredibly. Yeah. So all is not lost. All is not lost. Life is good, I promise you. It has its challenges, but it's wonderful, and we can all do it. We've got to support each other, don't we, Deb?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Christine. They're beautiful words of wisdom. Absolutely. And
thank you, Deb. Thank you for having me. And you are fabulous, and you're doing a great job here. It's a wonderful thing that you're offering people here with, because it is a difficult stage of life when we're going through.
Yeah. It is a difficult stage, and it's also a wonderful stage. It's just, the transition that we need to go through. And, I think, a lot of people say, oh, no, I went through menopause and I was fine. But at some point, there is going to be a transition, whether it's menopause or whether it's something else. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. It's because it's guaranteed, because as life's moving forward, as we're aging, things are changing, we're changing, so we're going to go through transition.
It's just growth.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. I trust that you have gained some fantastic insights and information from this conversation, and I encourage you to take those actions, take those steps to focus on your breath and work on yourself, heal yourself, so you can move forward through your transition with the ease that you want to. And I encourage you to access Christine's free gift as well. Keep tuning in for upcoming interviews. I have more amazing women like Christine talking on different topics like menopause, more on health and wellness, more on mindset, beauty. There's more on travel, business, money mindset, relationships, and lots more. Thank you, Christine. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, everyone.